You know, I think I'm gonna start making these type of videos more often. The questions that y'all always asking me, I'm just gonna start making whole videos about them. So I keep getting asked, should you buy the Sony A7 III now, or should you wait for the Sony A7 IV? Whew, we gotta talk about it. Let's get it. What up, y'all? Tight Shirt Terry back in the building, and today I would say the shirt is tight. One could argue this might be one of my kids' shirts, man. I hope you're having a good day so far. If this is your first time here, yo, a fat welcome to you. And if you're part of the fam, you part of the squad, you came back, drop a hashtag fam down below so that I know you came back. And while you at it, give me some dap, give me a hug or something like that. I appreciate y'all so much. So yeah, the Sony A7 III, I got it right here in front of me with that new 50mm f1.2 gangster mode. We got to talk about this lens, but in a separate video. I got this on loan from Sony for 2 weeks. By the way, like, I just got to tell y'all, I'm not like sponsored by Sony or anything like that. I just happen to love what Sony does, and they send me dope stuff to review. So don't ever think that I'm being biased and I'm not, you know, XYZ, whatever y'all like to say. I'm not being paid by Sony. I'm not some Sony shill. But anyways, the A7 III, y'all know my love for it. And if you don't know my love for it, I've made a bunch of videos talking about how much I love the A7 III still to this day. Even though it's been out for almost 3 years, I still love this camera. I still think it's one of the best value full frame cameras that you can get. But one could argue that it is starting to show its age, right? I mean, we got new cameras that got 10-bit internal and new autofocus systems and flip out screens, etc. And the A7 IV is coming. And a lot of y'all want to know, should I buy the A7 III now, or should I wait for the Sony A7 IV? And I don't really feel like that's a linear answer. Let's start off with what I think about the Sony A7 IV and when do I think it's coming. As a matter of fact, I did a whole entire rumor roundup and also things that I would like to see in the A7 IV, so I'll link that up there and also down there in the description for y'all to check out after this video. Don't you leave off this video to go watch that video. Watch that video after this video, but I made a whole video about that stuff. So the reality is none of us know when it's coming. It's either gonna be third quarter 2021 or first quarter 2022, but the A7 III is available right now. Why would you pick the A7 III over all the other cameras out there? Well, let's just go through a quick rundown of why this is still a bomb camera even in 2021. Because one of the best full frame sensors, in my opinion, ever put into a mirrorless camera. The sensor inside of the A7 III is so bomb, yo. It is so crazy how much detail and dynamic range that you can squeeze out of the raw files that come out of this camera. It's got dual card slots, even though they're not the fastest card slots. It's got great battery life. It's got in-body stabilization, although it's not the best in-body stabilization. But it's got buttons, dials everywhere. It's weather sealed. It has some great video options, great 4K, 1080p 120 slow-mo. Even though they're only 8-bit, we get that part, but I'm gonna get to that in 1 second. You still got S-Log and all that stuff built into it, all in a package that's small, lightweight, and under $2,000. You are still hard pressed even to this day to find a camera that gives you all of this stuff for the amount of money that Sony is asking for the A7 III, which the price hasn't gone down that much. You will find it very difficult to find a camera this cheap with this feature set. I mean, except for the A7C, but that's basically like an A7 III, but you get what I'm saying. The value per dollar for the A7 III still to this day is one of the best out there. It's one of the best cameras in my opinion ever made. So that's why I haven't sold mine. Now, again, I know it's getting aged, right? There's some things that are getting old about it. The card slots are slower. It doesn't have Sony's new autofocus system. It's still 8-bit, which let's talk about 8-bit real quick, and then we'll talk about should you get the A7 III, A7 IV. Let's talk about 8-bit. Let's be realistic, right? Nobody's ever looked at my video like, oh my God, Terry, that video was only 8-bit. You didn't film that in 10-bit. We are the snobs of the world, right? The people watching our YouTube videos, our family members watching our, you know, little family videos and pictures, they don't care about that stuff. It is all for us, the snobs. We're the only ones who know the difference between 8-bit and 10-bit and how beneficial it is. Average people don't know that. So I'm saying that to say, if you want a full frame camera in 2021, even though the Sony A7 III only gives you 8-bit video, when was 8-bit video not good enough for everybody else watching YouTube? The answer is it is still good enough in 2021. 8-bit is fine, you know what I'm saying? Now 10-bit obviously is better, but 8-bit, there's nothing wrong with it. 10-bit is actually way better. But my point is, all of that stuff built into it, it is still a bomb camera in 2021. With that being said, should you buy the A7 III now or wait for the Sony A7 IV? Now before we move forward, I'm looking down below and I see a whole bunch of y'all haven't smashed that like button yet. So what are you doing? Go ahead and do it now. If you don't like it, make sure to hit the like button twice. I really appreciate it. And if you're not part of the family, now would be a great time to go ahead and hit the subscribe button and join the family and turn on notifications so that you get notified when new videos go up. And the music, all that stuff is from Epidemic Sound. 30-day trial in the description if you want to test them out. Now, should you buy this now or should you wait for the A7 IV? Now, I'm a big advocate of buy what makes you happy right now. You don't know if you're gonna live to see the A7 IV. I hope you do, but my point is you never know what happens. What if the A7 IV gets delayed or whatever? What are you gonna do? Not have a camera till then? So I think the question is, do you already have a camera and can you wait? Or do you not have a camera and you want to make your first purchase, or you have another camera and you're thinking about upgrading to the A7 III? I think you got to consider those questions when you are asking yourself, should I buy this now or buy the A7 IV now? So back to me being an advocate of you should buy what makes you happy right now. You don't know if you're gonna make it to see the Sony A7 IV or when it's gonna come or anything like that. And if you can afford the A7 III right now and it's the camera that you want, then I would say go ahead and buy the Sony A7 III. Like, you're not gonna regret buying this camera. Once you see the video and photos coming out of it, you get to experience the great battery life and everything that this camera offers, you are not gonna regret buying the A7 III right now. If the A7 IV comes, then, you know, you can play the whole selling this camera, you know, getting the A7 IV. But my whole point that I'm trying to make is if you want an A7 III right now and you have the money for it, that I'm gonna strongly recommend, if you have decided on this camera as the camera that you want right now at the beginning of May 2021, and I'm about to do the Denzel finger on you, you should absolutely buy this camera right now. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what other camera store you're gonna go to, but you should go in there, put your hard-earned money on the table and get that camera right now. How was that? Was that trash? But no, seriously. Go get you an A7 III. If the A7 IV happens to launch in October or whatever, then you'll still be able to get a lot of money for this camera. Trust me, just because the A7 IV comes out does not mean that the A7 III is gonna all of a sudden lose all of its value, because it's not. Because it's still one of the best values, and Sony doesn't have a reason to drop the price drastically on this camera because it's still flying off the shelves. The other thing, when the A7 IV comes, and again, you can watch my speculation video after this video, I suspect that the A7 IV is gonna be probably around $2,500. Right now, you can get an A7 III, depending on where you get it from between $1,800 and $2,000. When the A7 IV comes out, you better be ready to have that extra money if you plan on grabbing the A7 IV. But let's be realistic. Let's be realistic, y'all. The A7 III for most people is more than enough camera to last them for years. And I mean that. This camera is so freaking good. 3 years later, still one of the best mirrorless cameras ever made. You still cannot find a mirrorless camera under $2,000 that has the feature set that the A7 III has. No, it ain't perfect. Are there better cameras? Absolutely. But we're talking about performance and features per dollar. This camera still cannot be beat. So there's a link in the description if you want to go ahead and grab one. I'm just throwing that out there. There's a link in the description if you want to get it. Go ahead and get you an A7 III and join the Sony A7 III club, because I am the head of it. I am the founder. So let me know what y'all think about this whole debacle. Are you getting the A7 III now? Do you already have one? Are you thinking about waiting till the A7 IV comes? Let me know down in the description. I'm gonna be down there kicking it with y'all. I really appreciate y'all who watched it up through this point. Until next time, I am out. Peace and chicken grease, Terry Warfield. Peace.